Hey folks, yes, hey, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping. And I thank all you YouTubers out there. Please subscribe, like, comment down below, please. All your comments help me bring more content to you. Um, and hey, it's a lot of weather out there that is making us create what kind of decisions that we feel we need to do to prepare for our bees, to prepare for the spring, the summer that's right around the corner. I saw my first robin today. It was an amazing thing. And, on February 24th, I didn't think I would see a robin in a foot plus snow in my backyard, as you've seen in other videos. Um, a lot of snow, still a lot of cold. I think today we're going to get a warm wave. I'm not saying a heat wave, but a warm wave where, the temperatures are in the 30s, which is nice. So um, I'm going to soon be out there trudging around in the yard. And I think this week, folks, you might see a video of me outside putting some pollinating substances. Nope, I'm sorry, not yet. I'll probably do some fondant or dry sugar. They call it hillbilly sugar. I like using the dry sugar. Reason is because if there is any moisture around the hive, it may come up because of now temperatures will be going up and down. I want to have that dry sugar to, get some of that moisture. So yeah, again, Farmer James, if you like what I'm saying to you, subscribe, like, dislike. Please leave your comments down below. Subscribe so that we can keep this going. Today, though, we're going to be talking about, hey, it's gardening time. I know a lot of you out there have shopped garden seeds, started seeds, and getting, hey, excited about gardening. I'm excited about it. I love honeybees, as you already know. That's why I'm here, trying to help you become successful with your honeybees and giving you whatever I can, offering you whatever I can to help you become successful as I have. So yeah, we're going to be talking about basically what bees, honeybees, specifically like. I mean, again, I'm supportive of all pollinators, so I don't just support honeybees. I support all of the pollinators, like I said, butterflies, birds of all sorts. So, and also all the flying insects. So yeah, but back to honeybees. Yeah, you want to really get out there and figure out what kind of things you want for wherever you are, for wherever zone you are, and really you want to try to plant a lot of what you see. And what I mean by that is, here in Vermont, I see a lot of goldenrod, I see a lot of asters, I see a lot of different bee balms, monardas, still bees, you know, hostas. So anyway, the list is great. So wherever you are, you may have more than me or maybe less than me. I'm not sure, but look at what you have going on in your neighborhood and see what works best for you. And what I mean by that, really, look around. Don't shop around because sometimes what you see in that pollinator packet for honeybees really might not do well in your neck of the woods. So really plant what works well for your zone, um, but also plant for what honeybees like in the color. So what I have here is what bees like and the colors they like. Honeybees like blue, purple, and yellow flowers. And in my yard, I have a variety of yellow flowers. And this year, I think I want to add some more blue because I just have a little bit too much yellow. And it's really nice to have a little bit of variety. And also, some plants will, start blooming at various colors. And in the spring, you might see more white. And then later in the spring, a little bit more yellow. So if you have a lot of that, try to see if there's some reds you could blend in and create some of that rainbow. But again, back to the specifics of honeybees, they really like the colors of blue, purple, yellow, and that's what we want to really look for, okay? So we also, like I said, we want to look for blooms that will come at different times of the year because, there may be a time of the year where they really might want that. And it's not out there in the fields, but hey, you could plant it and put it around your home to give your ladies and a pollinator something close to forage for. But in that respect, what you want to really try to do is focus on, like I said, the top three of those colors. And if you really want to support all the other pollinators, then like the butterflies, they like red, orange, and pink. And those colors are great. And also the hummingbirds, as we already know, they like those tubular plastic red containers that have the one-to-one seb that also is kind of attractive to the honeybees. So I've heard many people say, "Oh man, I put out my honeybee feeder, and lo and behold, I have a bunch of honeybees that are taking that syrup right out of there." So yeah, that does happen, and that is usually because there's a dearth, which means there's not really flowers out there or any resources out there for your honeybees. So wherever you are in your neck of the woods, right now, some people are playing with their bees, and hey, if you haven't already, get those seeds out there that will be blooming for your honeybees, or try to throw things out there like dandelion seeds. I know a lot of people don't want to do that. But there's also flowering shrubs. But again, look in the backyard of your area and find out what blooms for your honeybees. If there is a horrible climate issue, cold out of the bloom that's affecting and dropping those blooms off of certain fruiting trees or flowering shrubs or trees or bushes, then do a supplement. And at this time down south, brood is building. So find supplements that are high in protein and get those that are really good at trying to get real pollen in their substitutes. What I did last year, which was really worked well for me, was that rocket fuel by Man Lake, and it really does wonders. And if you got brood, hey, I'd be piling on that rocket fuel like crazy, along with that syrup and that one-to-one. In supplement, if you use Hive Alive or something, or any of those items out there. But I've had great change in growth with that. And then we have some things out there that you may find that are really good additives, and I'll talk about that more later. But right now, back to talking about pollinators and what you should be planning and are getting ready to feed them. All right, so yeah, as we all know, pollinators are very crucial in our gardens and our farms, and as we all know, they're ensure, that plants produce fruits, seeds, vegetables, and that's the variety pack that we have on our plate, and we love that variety pack, and we don't really want to have it disappear. So let's try to help them by supplementing what we can for the pollinators, whether they're the hummingbirds or the butterflies. But right now I'm talking about honeybees because I love honeybees out of all of the pollinators the most. So again, there's a lot of things that we need to pay attention to, and that's the habitat loss. So what I've done is, and encourage people in my neighborhood, community groups, schools, elementary, middle, high schools, and or farmers market collectives to talk about the habitat loss and the need to create nutritional islands, and also talk about the overuse of pesticides by our neighbors or by our states and governments. So hyper awareness about that, along with the as we already know, the weather that is changing and impacting us nationally and or globally. We need to also stay abreast of how the impact on our ecosystems really are having a tremendous impact with our pollinators. So pay attention to that, folks. So how do we choose the right seeds for our pollinator friendly gardens? Because that's what we're really working to do, is have pollinator friendly gardens. And your garden could be any size. It could be a 4 by 4 square foot space or even larger, but the fact is you're just doing something instead of doing nothing. And try to encourage your neighbors to do something. And it doesn't need to be on a large scale. It could be a plant pot, or it could be a field. But, a little bit goes a long ways, folks. And so, yes, also in exploring what really attracts them, we want to make sure that we're creating a thriving habitat in our backyard. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're not creating a pile of junk that is more thriving for pests like mosquitoes, etc. But we're creating piles of nice little garden space. And what I mean by pile, yeah, just throw a bunch of leaves, a bunch of soil, and that's one pile, and then fill it with a bunch of seeds of flowering seeds, and boom, voila, you have a really nice pile of flowers. All right, but we already know, and just one fact out there, based on my opinion from what I've read, but this is factual evidence according to the USDA, about 75% of flowering plants depend on pollinators to reproduce, and that is a huge number, folks. So 75%, and that includes all our fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and the list goes on. So without these pollinators, things like I just said, the fruits, apples, tomatoes, almonds, the flowering nut trees, and other flowering nut trees, and I do love my blueberries, wild and or the ones in my backyard. So it's really important to have these pollinators because they do help in a variety of ways. But unfortunately, they face that serious threat, as I did point out. And, the threat is talked about and continuing to be talked about on Facebook. But right now we're talking about how to get your garden ready for pollinators and what seeds to buy. But, like I said, there's devastating losses to our insect population. So, when you're out there, you're selecting seeds for your pollinator garden. Again, really keep in mind, basically there are a variety of flowers, and those flowers really are for certain pollinators because they prefer certain pollinators, prefer certain plants. Okay, so an example would be in white clover versus purple clover. A lot of people enjoy the colors of the purple clover. It's really good in a lot of different culinary dishes, but it doesn't help the honeybee. But it does help the bumblebee, based on the fact that the proboscis, the tongue is short in the Apis mellifera, the western honeybee, versus native pollinators, bumblebees, etc., that have longer tongues and proboscis, and then they don't mind the longer nectar pistils of that kind of red clover versus the white. So folks out there, plant more white clover if you don't do. Okay, that'd be a great thing to do. So back to what honeybees like. Again, they're drawn to blue, purple, and yellow. So let's look at good choices for those plants and or seeds for these that are in that category of the three I just mentioned. So lavender, it's a great purple plant, very fragrant. The flowers attract bees. The bumblebees also, the flowers are where the honeybee can get into it and enjoy that floral. That nectar also, we have sunflowers, which are the number one favorite by many of us and easy to grow. But folks, what we want to do, we're looking for sunflower seeds that might, if you don't know, are coated in some indiscriminate way to keep them from reproducing, getting you to purchase more and more of those seeds. So what we want to try to do is get untreated seeds and or locally sourced seeds from some seed producers that are locally in your backyard. And we have a couple here in our Vermont, and also Johnny seeds out of Maine, but we have some high mowing seeds. But anyway, point is you could get seeds that will allow you where you can grow them and then allow for the pollinators of all sorts that eat them, and if they don't eat them all, you can also harvest them and reuse for yourself. So we got those out of the way. Those are really good. Also, purple coneflower, echinacea. Echinacea, I have a variety pack of echinaceas. Some that are really more colorful, but they're for all the pollinators, all different size insects. I have a variety of photos that I've taken with, the butterflies, the moths, the flying insects, the honeybees, and the other insects. And again, so that's another easy one. And also my favorite, the BEEcome. So those are really nice for out there. And again, in your neighborhood, you could, call your local farm extension service, or go to your gardening center or your local beekeeping a group, and just find out, or source for yourself on Google and find out, hey, what seeds work good for your backyard. Yeah, so we covered that, which is really good. So if you also want to get into things that work good for other flying pollinators, and I also I plant milkweed, zinnias, a lot of butterfly bush, as well as verbena. Purple verbena is one of my favorites, so I plant a lot of that. And then we have lantana, which is a really nice group of small clustered flowers. So, these are all different zones. So you, again, pay attention to your zone, and then work from your zone and the colors I had mentioned. Then coordinate in your area and whatever size you have to what works. All right. So it could be one container, or it could be one garden bed, or it could be an acre, or you could just dollop. What I call it, and that is placing little plots around your landscape, so that you're limiting mowing, but you're gaining more beauty, and your friends and neighbors would like it. And also, hey, less grass to cut. Hummingbirds, which is another one of my pollinator I enjoy watching. We all do. They're very beautiful and eloquent in how they fly. Come on. You know what I'm saying? So we have trumpet vine, we have the salvia, we have columbine, we have BEEcome again, which I plant a lot. So because that is again, Apis mellifera is competitive with other pollinators, and we want to not have one over competing against the other, but we want to try to supplement what is missing out there in the wild that our pollinators may be missing. So yeah, let's try to do that. Let's try to create that variety pack, because again, if you don't know, then I'm sharing with you for healthy pollinators of all sorts, including my favorite, the Apis mellifera, the honeybee. A variety pack is great. A sipping a variety pack for me right here in this cup is a variety of nice coffee with honey. That is my favorite blend. And we'll talk about honey on my other channel, Farmer James Mountainside Beekeeping for Honey. Right, and I share with you to offer you my experience to raising bees that will give you and your friends and all the judges the best tasting honey in your neighborhood. And we'll talk about that on Farmer James Honey Show. All right, so again, back to the tips I'm offering you for planting a friendly pollinator garden. Back to again, plant a variety of flowers. All right, pollinators need food throughout the growing season, folks. That means just like we need a variety pack to help us through our daily growing season. We need to also help them in their daily through the growing season. All right, yeah. So choose the flowers that will bloom accordingly. And if you don't know, just Google, find out based on your zone. Ask your local garden center and or your local beekeepers that have a little bit of knowledge about plants. And I'm an ethnobotanist and organic farmer, market gardener, so I have a lot about plant experience that I incorporate in my gardening. And so, yeah, and again, like I said, choose native plants. So that, again, back to your neighborhood, what plants grow well in your neighborhood, not mine. I see in a lot of different catalogs, I'd love to grow everything, but I can't. So I try to do is just magnify what I see. So I see a lot of goldenrod. I see a lot of asters. I bee balm grows well, so I try to grow a lot of those varieties. And clover. I like to do white clover because the purple clover, as I said, doesn't work well for honeybees, but it does for bumblebees. So they're and also the violets. There are wild violets in Vermont, or some other wild plants that grow well in your neighborhood. So yeah, push the wild plants. They also help with cutting down on diseases for your pollinators, but because of the pesticides, PFAs, glycophosphates, neonicotinoids, the list goes on. It's a challenge. So if you can do the best you can do, that's all we can do. All right. But please, avoid pesticides if you can. Please avoid them. Avoid them. If you aren't, do it now. We don't need more. We don't want the pests to be getting used to pesticides. They already are. They're evolving with the pesticides, whereas the pesticides are killing our great, beautiful insects that we love, enjoy seeing. Okay, so yes, I understand you don't want the dandelions, but please, okay, I know mosquitoes are there, but hey, let's get it. Well, anyway, back to that. Our plant. We're about plants today, and about a pollinator friendly garden. All right, so try to provide shelter. What do I mean by that? Just create habitats where you really don't need shrubs, the trees. Those are great habitats for the bees that will help them in torrential downpours, because sometimes the pollinators will be out foraging, and out of the blue a torrential downstorm will come, and they won't have a place to shelter until that storm passes. So hey, a little bit of that I think throughout my yard. Also, I'm in the mountains, so there's plenty of umbrella shelter kind of things. Also, I have a lot of different shrubbery. So if you do, that's great. If you don't, try. You can put them in containers, then you can bring them in and out of the home, or put them in your garage in the winter, then bring them out back in the spring and summer. If you happen to live in a condo, apartment area, or assisted living, or etc. But everyone can be involved. So yeah, you can provide shelter. Also, like I said, try to grow your flowers in clumps. It's easier for plants to survive in clusters versus out there spread about. Where you're individually watering based on whatever. Yeah, so do clump designs. I love clump designs. It's unorthodox, but it brings beautification where beauty you thought didn't exist, or even in what you saw may not exist. That beauty in clumping the plants, or the clumping of the colors, like the purple or the blue or the yellow, or the whites in different areas. Adds that aesthetic beauty that you didn't think you had in that green thumb that you didn't think you had. So, try it out, folks. All right, and create a water source. I'm not saying a mosquito chamber, belly of water, but a simple water source where you could place a bunch of stones. Let's say a plant pot dish, or a bird bath, or if you want to get aesthetically, do what you would wish to do. But again, offering a water source. Honeybees and many pollinators really aren't concerned about the cleanliness of the water as much as the water is, let's say, not sitting around for the breeding of mosquitoes. So yeah, let's offer a nice water source for them. But, you want to help them overcome those challenges that many pollinators are faced with. All right, and one solution, like I said, to limited space is that if you don't really have that garden space, do the planting of container boxes, planter pots, window boxes, or recycling, jug containers or something like that. Or you could even do vertical, right up a wall, vine plants that are flowering. Or small window boxes that are able to do a variety of plants. All right. So yeah, it seems like a challenge, but it's a very simple one to overcome. As well as I know a lot of people have luck with bad soil, poor soil, or soil that just won't grow anything. So the solution to that is try to consider plants that don't care about bad soil. Black-eyed Susans or the Coreopsis family. They can tolerate poor soil. Even comfrey, which is a really voracious plant, weed, whatever you, or medicinal, whatever you. I mean, that's my opinion about all the different descriptions. But they offer beautiful flowers that are good for the bumblebees. And comfrey has a variety of flowers. So comfrey, colored flowers. So it grows in anything. So again, poor soil isn't the excuse. Just find what grows in poor soil. If you don't run in that challenge, then okay, that's great. Kudos. Again, folks, there's that pesticide, the pesticides. It's hurting everyone. So the biggest challenge is trying not to use pesticides, trying to accept that things should just happen, and see the difference if you just allow weeds to grow. Manage the weeds. You don't have a jungle in your yard, but you could have patches of weeds. 4 by 4 foot patches, fine. Come on, 1 by 1 foot patch. But if it's something different than nothing, then that can make the difference. And again, I'm here to try to help you be successful, because my success is the honeybee success. The honeybee success is the world's success in us living better life. Okay, just living, having better quality of food. So let's help them become successful so that we are successful on planet Earth, folks. Well, yeah, so if you are in a desert area and you lack rain, water, I get it, yes. Try to conserve that water that you get, whether it's through barrel or through some source or through jugs. But create a water source for these creatures of all kinds, and maybe the four-legged, two-legged, but mostly, again, we're focused on the insects, the pollinators, the honeybees. So create a minuscule water source. It could be the size of the diameter of a 5-gallon bucket, or in that depth. So folks, they don't need a grand, water bath or a grand pond, but some water is better than none. All right. So yes, folks, let's make an impact. Okay, and remember that this impact is tremendous. Even though we don't think we're playing a great part, we really are a very large part. Okay. If you like what I'm sharing, hit the like button, subscribe, leave your comments, good or bad, down below. Tell me what you like to hear. It helps me, helps the algorithm. Not that I'm concerned. My concern is sharing and offering with you ways to become a successful beekeeper, just as myself. And my success is through wanting to be successful because I love honeybees. Not saying you don't. What I'm saying is we just need to keep learning, keep trying, keep wanting to help just all pollinators. All right. So what I'm going to leave you with, folks, is that plan your pollinator garden. All right. Know the benefits to the bees, the butterflies, the hummingbirds, all of the flying insects, the creatures that just need our assistance in making our ecosystem stronger, not worse. So let's just try to do our best to do that. All right. And gardeners who plant friendly pollinators and often notice an increase in, they really do notice an increase in their fruit and vegetables and just everything else, just because they gave a little attention to providing a resource to the pollinators. All right. So I'm going to leave this with you, coming from Vermont, Farmer James, Mountainside Beekeeping. Trying to help you become the most successful beekeeper that you can, because I am trying to be and have worked hard to be and continue to be one of the most successful beekeepers in the US of A and the world, because I continue to work hard to save and repopulate healthy honeybees. So yes, folks, get out there, because by planting a variety of flowers, you attract a diverse range of insects and birds, and you help create a very balanced environment where plants, pollinators, and other wildlife thrive, including us two-leggeds. So again, Farmer James, Mountainside Beekeeping, and thank you for sharing your time.